Hi, buddies. Today, I want to show you something that is very important to your business. Do you know that when investors and funders review your application, they are actually evaluating it at a very critical stage? They are trying as much as possible to determine whether your business is actually strong enough for that funding or capital at that time. And they do this by using specific criteria I'm about to teach you today. And if you understand these pillars, honestly, you will stop applying blindly for all those kind of opportunities you're looking out for. You will start applying and preparing more intentionally. So today I'm actually going to walk you through what funders actually value in startups or MSMEs and how they assess whether your business is fundable or not. And I have also created a free fundability self-assessment worksheet for you. Yeah, and I want you to know that as we go through this framework, you can now use it to actually evaluate your own business and see where you stand at the moment. So if you want it, I want you to comment worksheet and I will send it directly to your DM. So there are about 4 core areas you need to pay attention to, and if one of them is weak, it affects everything because they're all connected. So let's break this down properly so that you can understand. So now I'm going to talk about pillar one, and it is value proposition segment. The first thing investors are simply asking here is this business attractive? Yeah, I don't mean emotionally attractive with your compelling story. No, here they are looking for if you're commercially attractive, right? They are looking at 3 things. The first one is product or service attractiveness. They're looking at your market attractiveness, and they're also looking at your commercial viability. So let me explain this like this so that you can understand. Your product might be very beautiful, fantastic, but if the market is too small, that's probably a problem for funders. And your market might be very huge, but if at the end of the day you don't have a clear monetization strategy, that's also a problem for them. So investors are trying to gauge, is there a real demand? Is there growth potential? Is there competitive, positioning, right? And they're also asking, does this business create value in a way that can scale? Are you seeing? Pay attention. If your value proposition is weak or unclear, trust me, you've lost points immediately at that stage. Pillar two is the management team. Now, this one is actually very critical, and I'll tell you why. Investors are not funding just your ideas. At that moment, they are funding people who can execute the idea. Are you seeing? Now, they ask questions like, does this team have the technical expertise? Do they have relevant experience? Is there leadership clarity, and is there structure? Listen, so if your entire company now finally depends on just you or one person to do everything, that is a very clear risk. And if your roles are not defined, it's another risk. And then if no one in your team understands finance, but you are trying to raise capital or funding, double red flag. So a strong management team signals execution capacity, and execution reduces investors' anxiety. So the pillar three is responsible business practice. Yeah. So this is the one that most founders actually underestimate. Now let me tell you. But here investors are asking questions like, will this company create reputational or regulatory risk? So they look at things like your corporate governance. We talked about this in data room before. Business integrity, environmental and social responsibility, and then your compliance structure. So if you might think that governance is actually for big companies. They lie you. You need to start thinking that it is actually for you. And if you have contracts that are messy and you have no policies or your compliance is weak, that affects how safe your business looks to investors. Serious capital avoids unnecessary risk. So you need to know that. And responsible business practice signals maturity and readiness to the investors. The final pillar, which is the fourth pillar, is the business and financial planning. Now, this is where your story faces financial scrutiny. Yes. Now, investors want to see, Is there a clear business strategy? Is the financial planning realistic? Now you see, does the use of fund make sense? And do projection align with actual capacity? And if your financial forecast shows massive growth, but your operational structure somehow cannot support it, that's a red flag actually to them. And if your use of funds is vague, it's also another red flag. And if your number does not align with your business model, that's another red flag. They are looking for alignment and not just perfection. Do you understand? Because most times we always want to be perfect. Now, here is what most founders don't realize. These four pillars are not separate. They somehow reinforce each other. I don't know how, but they somehow reinforce each other. A strong value proposition is a with a weak team creates doubt, and a strong team with weak governance creates risk. A strong strategy with weak financial clarity creates hesitations to the investors. Fundability is balanced. There is no two words about it. And that's why when funders or reviewers check your application, they are asking, is this business commercially viable? I asked this before. Can this team execute? And is this company structured responsibly? And do the numbers make sense to me or to what we are trying to do? So that's their own scoring system. It's a very clear scoring system. But here's the good thing. If you understand this framework I've actually mentioned right now, you can assess yourself before you actually apply. Yeah, and it will help you. Then you begin to see where your gaps are, and then you start working on them before you actually make the next move of an application. And everything we've discussed today is still connected, because once funders move from reviewing your application to reviewing your structure, they are looking out for strategic documentations. And it's not enough to just understand the framework at that point, right? You must be able to prove it to them. You must be able to prove it to them. And that is why this connects directly to the previous video that I made on how to build your data room properly. So if you haven't watched that session, I want you to go back to my profile and watch it. And it's going to show you how to structure your documentation so you are not scrambling during due diligence. Yes. Now, I have also created something for you, which I mentioned earlier. If you watch to this end, I have put together a fundability self-assessment worksheet, and you can use it to score your business, please, using the exact framework that I have put. And if you want it, I mentioned earlier, just comment worksheet and I will send it to you directly in your DMs. And if you want access to very high level funding opportunities that matches your business, then sign up on UpTracker. Yes, at www.uptracker.com. You do not want to become fundable by chance, but you want to be fundable by structure, which gives you an edge. So until the next session, we'll continue building businesses that are ready for serious funding and capital this year. So see you in the next one.